about Buddha, someone asking him how they were going to die. And Buddha said, "Do you really want to know?" He said, "Yeah, I really want to know how I'm going to die." He said, "Really? You want to know?" "Yeah, I want to know." So he told him he was going to be killed by a tree. So the man walked away and he thought, well, I'll take care of that. I'll go out on the ocean where there are no trees. But it turns out that the ship that he was on was a ship that was carrying logs to be timber harvested, to be milled. And there was a storm and the logs broke loose, and he was, in fact, killed by a tree. So really the story about that is that we can't escape our karma, whatever that is, whatever causes we have created. So how do we create a mind that has some sense of equilibrium throughout this? So I started yapping before we actually started. So welcome, everyone. I'm happy you're here, happy to be here. Let me see, I did have a note or two just to begin, just to think about what is our fundamental challenge. What did Buddha say? What's the fundamental challenge that we face? It's to identify and forever free ourselves from suffering and its causes. Then there is an unprecedented state of well-being, which arises from a harmonious mind, a mind in balance. So Buddha said that we're thrown into this conditioned existence by two things: mental distortions, such as attachment, ignorance, hatred, and the actions that are influenced by them. So sometimes they say karma and delusion, the afflicted states of mind that cause us to act in ways that produce unhappy results. And these actions place an impression on our mind stream, which in turn generates future rebirths. So for these mind streams, the impression which influences our rebirth must be stimulated by a mental distortion. So in other words, if there are no mental distortions, if there's no attachment, there's no ignorance, there's no hatred, there's no pride or jealousy or doubt, then there's no distortion to stimulate. And those seeds would remain latent. So even if we had a whole storehouse of negative or unwholesome imprints on our mind, if we free the mind from distortion, those imprints could never produce a karmic result. And if we look at it from the standpoint of the nature of mind, the only reason why that makes sense is if we look at it from the standpoint of the nature of mind. So we have said, maybe you remember, the definition of mind in Tibetan Buddhism is that which is merely clear and knowing. So mind, that consciousness that has no perceivable beginning and no ending, is merely clear awareness. And this we begin to tap into when we meditate, to really try to understand what is the nature of this mind and where do thoughts come from? Where do they come from? When we sit, it's my experience when I sit and the mind reaches some semblance of quietude, there's a bubbling, there's some kind of possibility of coming, of rising, of thoughts rising. And perhaps there's just a word that comes. And if I don't go attached to that, to follow that thought, it just kind of settles right back into that, right back in. And then another will arise. And sometimes it's very turbulent, depending on what's been happening in my world. And I was just thinking about that this morning, watching. This is what we do. We watch, we check. What's coming in my mind? What's arising? Because what we put in it is what will revisit, come again and again. So what is arising in the mind is the habit of the mind. And Buddhist practice, which are twofold, purification and accumulation. What does that mean? What we are doing is we are purifying those things that condition our reality. We're purifying our attachment, our hatred, our ignorance, our doubt. How are we doing that? How does it work? If doubt arises, doubt is just a thought. It's just a thought. So doubt comes. Oh, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. Maybe I should be doing something else. So before the maybe I should be doing something else, just the thought coming, I'm not sure I'm doing this right. Even if we caught it before, I'm not sure, we just begin to see the thought arising, begin to see doubt arising. And if we don't grow it, if we don't grasp it, if we don't begin to tell a story around it, because we can go on through all the reasons why I won't be able to do this. Maybe I should try a different practice. This is hard. And we can go on and on and on. And because there are so many different paths to follow, sometimes people go from one path to another, to another, to another, looking for the one that is going to help them, that's going to take them further, that's going to help them eliminate these thoughts that are coming. But the fact is, the point is not to get rid of thoughts, because thoughts are going to continue to come. They continue to come. The point is to be aware of what is arising, and then when you're in a state of meditation, to let it be and watch it. Just watch it without grasping onto it. We watch it. And sometimes we find ourselves, we've already been caught. There we are. You know, the story has started to evolve. And when we catch that, we just simply recognize, aha, yeah, come back to center, go back to the breath, back to awareness, back to our object of meditation, gently, kindly. And that is what practice is. That is precisely what practice is. We sit, we become distracted, we grasp, we return. And then we might see in time, not in 5 minutes, not in 3 minutes. You sit down, you think, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to settle my mind. Well, we begin, perhaps it begins to settle, perhaps. But it may be you've made a decision you're going to sit for 20 minutes. It may be at minute 19, finally, the mind has come to a semblance of peace, been able to just settle in. And it feels cozy and nice. And then the bell rings, your timer goes off. And I can remember in long retreat being in a state and the timer went off, and I would just reset because I didn't want to leave that. And then maybe I would reset again. And I would come to a place where now I'd gone too far. Now I was not happy to be doing this. I was done. Whereas if I would have stopped when I was still very much enjoying the process, I would have had more enthusiasm to come back to the cushion the next time. So this is also something to think about. Make a determination to take a little break and rejoice in whatever progress that you have made in your practice. If you have decided to do maybe a short retreat, maybe a day-long retreat, and having many sessions during the day. So I just thought to mention that, how it is. Sometimes we become discouraged because we think, if I sit, I should progress. I should get better and better. And every time I sit, I should be better and better at it. But really, success is when you sit down. There you're already successful. You've made a determination to take a trip inside your mind. So you're already on the road. Good. Lama would say, good enough, dear. And certainly, as much as possible, we try. And the more we make a strong determination when we start, really, a strong determination that for this period of time, just this period of time, I'm going to remain present. This is how we grow our single-pointed concentration, by making a strong determination not to allow the mind to spin out on any of the stories that want to have their attention. They want to be seen. And sometimes I liken it to watching a fish going by. There's lots of fish going by, and you can easily not pay any attention. But sometimes a shark comes, something big, and then it's really hard to let it go. But if we can see that the shark is no different than the little fish, and we have the opportunity to let it go and just remain present on the object, then there's more courage, there's more strength in our meditation as we continue. But don't make the mistake, which we do tend to make. I've certainly made it, that, I have a really good, I call it a good meditation. I have a pleasant meditation which seems focused. And then I think next time I'll do the same. But it doesn't work that way. It's most unfortunate. Most unfortunate, but true. So it's just making a determination a little bit by little bit. If we sit every day, we begin to make it a habit like brushing our teeth. Every single day we sit. Slowly, slowly, over time, we will begin to have a good understanding of what is the nature of this mind. And how can I transform what is arising? How can I purify the irritation that's arisen in my mind? If I understand that it's essenceless, that it's not a solid, concrete entity, that it's just a thought that's arising and passing, if I know that, then I can begin to look at the object of irritation and see, what is the cause of the irritation? Is it in the object or is it in the mind? And then that begins to be your analytical meditation. You begin to see, we have to check. And when we check and we begin to see, we can apply the antidote in the moment. For instance, someone we live with, or someone who's close to us, someone who's a dear friend, has somehow done something that irritates us. So in the moment, we can hold that irritation. And we can also then pick up our irritation basket and we can put all of the reasons why that person is irritating, all of them. Put them in there, and yes, and before they did this, and then in the future, and then they are like this. And we begin to put them into this box or this big basket, and we carry it around with us. And there's a hint of looking for that same aspect of irritation to come. We don't realize that we can just set that irritation basket down. And we can instead look at that individual and try very hard to think of something that they have done that has helped us. Some good quality that they have. Immediately, that moment of strong irritation immediately softens. It may not go away altogether because we may need to work a little bit more on it, but it's very effective to stop nattering away, to not pick up the basket to add more to it, but instead to counter it. Say, yes, I didn't like that particular thing, but think about this. Think about how they did this and this that was so helpful to me, and how mostly we get on quite well. So whatever we need to do to transform that irritation in the moment is really powerful, to begin to see that what the irritation is not out there. The irritation is in our mind. So important. This is how we purify the mind. And the other aspect is the accumulation of virtue. The accumulation. So purifying the mind is eliminating the things that make us unhappy. And accumulating virtue is accumulating the things that make us happy. So growing the kinds of attitudes that produce happiness. Growing our virtuous activity, which is super helpful thinking of others. Getting out of ourself what I want, what I don't want, what I like, what I don't like, but rather always having our antenna up. How can I help you? Totally changes our world when we begin to have an other, how can I help you attitude. We open our heart to others and it completely changes our world. As soon as we think, well, now what am I going to do today to make myself happy? Or what am I going to do today to make someone else happy? It's a very different feeling in the heart. Even just super small things. Just giving somebody picking a dandelion flower, handing it to someone. Giving a homeless person some money. But not just that, stopping and saying, how are you? And then having a little chat. Let them be seen. That's a gift. That's a real gift. You can see there's a difference. They're sitting like this, with a sign. Anything helps. And then you give them a gift. And they say, thank you. And then if you say, how are you? Then actually they're seen. And there's a sense there of feeling, recognizing that there's a human being that cares about you. And that's a gift. And we can do that. We can do that. We can stop. And we can help someone who's struggling at the grocery store to put their groceries in the basket. We can help in this way. And this begins more and more and more to open our heart, which creates more and more and more happiness, more and more peace in the mind. This is this is our practice. And as we do this, opening our hearts more and more, when we're sitting and we begin with our intention to help, our intention to help others, to grow our own wisdom and compassion, that we can help others. It changes the dynamic of our meditation. So as we begin today to enter into our meditation, turning our hearts to refuge, let's think about that. That truly how wonderful it would be if in every moment we really were able to help everyone we met in some small way, even if it's a smile. To grow that, to open our heart more and more and more. Let that be our pole star, as much as possible to benefit others. And then let's engage in our practice. We take refuge. So please settle into your meditation seat, allowing your back to lengthen and straighten, your spine reaching for the sky. And then allow your body to simply settle into a state of perfect relaxation. It might be helpful to scan the body. I invite you to come to your crown and begin then to float down and recognize any tension that is residing within the body, behind the eyes and the brow and the jaw, softening, your facial muscles releasing, your neck and shoulders softening. Down your arms, into your hands and the tips of your fingers. And then coming back up to come down your torso, your upper back, around your shoulder blades and your chest. Staying present as you float down to the small of your back and your sit bones. Your belly is soft, gently rising and falling. Your glutes and legs all soft, settling into the mat, the cushion. Feeling a sense of being grounded and stable. Here in this moment, a sense of safety. Relaxed and peaceful. How wonderful. feeling the breath in the body, how the body changes, and the sensations. With this, turn the mind to the breath at the tip of the nose and notice the sensation there as the breath flows out and back in again. And if it's uncomfortable to attend to the breath, you can attend to the sounds around you. But if the breath is available to you, right there, fine-tuning one's awareness to this sensation. Sounds and thoughts and feelings, they come and go. And a corner of the mind is rooted right there, knowing when you breathe in and when you breathe out. Aware of the turning points. There's nothing else to do. You're free to be present with just the breath. Simple moment to moment awareness of the breath. That's all. How wonderful. Knowing our longing to be free from suffering and all of its causes, and our wish to bring all other beings to that state, we recognize that we need help, so we turn. We turn to the objects of refuge, our outer refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, our inner refuge, and our secret refuge, knowing that we can. So we share this prayer together. Visualizing in front of you, if you will, your own Lama, and turn to them as an object of highest refuge. Allow them to be surrounded by all the holy ones, the three objects of refuge. And surround yourself with all sentient beings. And see yourself as the one who is leading them in this heartfelt prayer of refuge. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the mind of enlightenment, to seeing emptiness directly, and to the Arya beings who have. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment, with confidence in the knowledge that the nature of my own mind is wisdom, its expression is clarity, and its compassion is all pervasive. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. May all beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings find good rebirths and the bliss of liberation. I will help us to have these. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do this. And now your Lama manifests as Shakyamuni Buddha. And we make this request. O magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat above my head. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me realizations of your holy body, speech, and mind. Now your Lama comes to the crown of your head, and we make this request to receive the blessings of the entire path to enlightenment. So visualizing now, imagining this light body of wisdom, compassion, and love, who, like a father for their only child, who wants nothing more than to help us. And as we recite, imagine then that from their heart, light rays flow down, entering our crown and filling us up with these realizations on the path to enlightenment. May I be inspired by Guru devotion, uplifted by the preciousness of this human life, shed the fetters of attachment and aversion through a knowledge of impermanence, be protected by refuge, guided by a knowledge of actions and their results, aim for liberation through renunciation. May I be motivated by bodhicitta, opened by giving, disciplined by ethical behavior, strengthened by patience, enthused by joyous effort, stabilized by concentration, and finally, may I be freed by wisdom. Feel this shower coming into you, completely filling you. Feel that the seeds of this entire path have been implanted. And then make this request. O magnificent and precious Root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and stay with me always until I attain enlightenment. So now Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, wishing to grant all of our wishes and to help us along this path to enlightenment, melts into a sphere of light and begins to descend down through our crown. Coming to our heart, this small sphere of light whose nature is wisdom, love, and compassion. In its fully developed form. And we long to grow our own wisdom, love, and compassion. So we engage in the practice of Tonlan, which is taking and giving, taking away the suffering of sentient beings and giving them all the happiness. And we begin with ourself as we allow the Buddha's love, which is the love of the entire universe, right there at the center of our heart. And as we inhale Allow that love to be energized. And as we exhale, allow that love to expand, to grow. And allowing all of our own mental afflictions, our own sufferings, and all the causes of suffering to be dissolved in this love. Whatever suffering we're experiencing right now, let it be felt in the heart, and let the light of love soften. Let it fill us up. And know that we are loved. And continuing with the breath, expanding. Begin to see that expanding through all of our pores until it creates an aura of love around us. And we become that love. It is our nature to love. And let us turn our attention to friends and family, perhaps individuals who are experiencing a sense of loss or grief or sadness, anxiety, fear. Suffering, experiencing suffering. Perhaps those who have passed away. Breathe in whatever suffering they are experiencing into that light of love. And as you exhale, allow it to fill them up. To give them the compassion of the universe. And think, may you be well and happy. And as you exhale, may you fulfill your full potential. Inhaling, taking away with the wish, may you be well and happy. And exhaling, giving every happiness. May you fulfill your full potential. Now turn your attention to those with whom you have difficulty. And think, as you inhale, remove the causes of their unhappiness. May you be well and happy. And as you exhale, may you actualize your full potential. And each time you remove the causes of suffering, your own love grows. And it is a warm and pleasant sensation because their suffering simply dissolves in that love. And it expands and sends out this deep wish that each actualizes their full potential. And now you might turn your attention to those individuals that you don't really know, all sentient beings, but particular groups perhaps. So much suffering in the world, it's not difficult to find a place to turn our awareness, to remove that suffering. Inhaling, may you be well and happy. And exhaling, may you fulfill your full potential. Allow the wish to expand to fill the full universe into the infinitude of space, removing all suffering. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings actualize their full potential. On the breath. Like breathing in from all directions and then sending out that love in all directions. How wonderful. And then gradually bring all of the energy right here into your body. Soft, gentle. Let it come back. And come back into the heart, dissolving there into this love that is always there. Always there. We only need to turn our attention to it, and it's there. And rest here, knowing that. How wonderful. And then let us take this energy and dedicate it. That we might actualize this wish. How wonderful it would be. By merit of this virtue, may I become Buddha and lead all beings, everyone, into that enlightened state. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow, and may that born not decline, but increase more and more. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, find an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, there too may I remain to dispel the misery of the world. And please also dedicate to all of those beings in your life, all those on Vajrapani's prayer list, all those who are really in need at this time of peace, dedicated to enlightened politics, and to the long lives of all of those who are teaching paths to happiness for all beings. To anyone that you know who has passed away, may they have a fortunate rebirth. And those who experience grief at the loss of loved ones, may they find peace.